Hey, everybody. I hope that you are having a great weekend so far. Sorry, this is behind on when I wanted to release it, but I wanted to do a little bit of research before I said anything about the whole situation that's happening right now with BJ because it really blows my mind that she is going this direction. And if you saw my community post, you know that I was very, very upset about her going after Cletus because at that time we did not know that Clue had also been served. But I still feel like putting Cletus in there is a manipulative move because it is that male on female that a judge is going to view differently because of that dynamic. So I have a lot to say about a lot of things, and people are not going to agree with everything I say. It'll probably upset some people. I hope that it might make some people think about different things, but I don't know. So I'm just gonna kind of spill out what I have to say. If I repeat things, I apologize. Um, y'all know I took notes and I'm trying to work through them and make sure that I get all of my points made, but I don't want to repeat things. But if I do, I apologize in advance. Okay, so the order that BJ filed. Okay, well, let me take a step back. The C&Ds that were sent out. So you have Clue that got one that B respond by date had already passed whenever that was even mailed out to Clue. So in my opinion, that makes it null and void because they couldn't respond to anything. The due date had already passed. There wasn't an opportunity to. Then you have Granny who received one, immediately responded back to BJ's attorney, and after a few weeks had heard nothing back. So her and her attorney filed what they did in Pennsylvania. And then you have Queen, who got hers, and I'm not sure about the dates on hers, but I'm going to guess that they were all originally dated on the 10th and they all got sent out late. We see a receipt where she showed paying $200 for FedEx overnight delivery. I do not understand why it costs that much to ship envelopes, but okay. So my thought process is this, okay? I think, in my opinion, that she sent out those C&Ds hoping they were going to have more of an impact on people than they did, hoping that people would want to settle. I think, Granny's a target because she's already in multiple litigations, and she probably thought Granny wasn't going to want to get involved in another litigation, so she might settle. And if everybody remembers, those C&Ds actually listed a monetary payout to settle it of an undisclosed amount. So I think that she was hoping that's how things were going to go. In my opinion, the plan did include taking the C&Ds to YouTube and giving them a demand letter to enforce their terms of service or something of that nature. But whenever you look at Clue and Queen and Granny's channels, BJ has up before she hired this attorney, she had not been using the reporting system with YouTube. So, and these channels are not habitual offenders of getting strikes and privacy complaints and all of that. Their channels are pretty clean and stay that way. So I think if you take all that to YouTube and say, we want these channels, we want you to enforce terms of service and take these channels down, they look at it and they're like, well, we haven't even gotten complaints on them, and you just want me to take them down. I feel like that there was an issue with that going to YouTube because of those channels being in good standing. So I don't know if these no contact orders were part of the original plan either. But what I want to note about them is, first of all, they're free. So BJ did not have to pay a dime to get to file these no contact orders. So again, we're looking at the cost of C&Ds, which at the most were probably $500 each. And then she paid $200 for the mailing of those C&Ds out. The no contact orders are free. And it is very confusing whenever you look at the no contact order forms. It's not very clear on the separation of the two things that it covers. So I understand why people had the immediate interpretation that they did of it, because it is confusing, and the way that BJ filled it out is confusing. And I don't believe that she asked for clarification on things, which I think she should have. And the other thing is that she was asking for this to be ex parte. If you don't know what an ex parte order is, it's whenever you go in and you file a complaint like this and it is taken to the judge, they review it and decide if there is enough evidence to show that you are in imminent harm's way, that you are in imminent danger, and they can activate that order based on the situation. So basically, what could have happened is if she had had proof of anything, she could have gone in and got this no contact order placed on Clue and Cletus without them even knowing that it had been asked for, which to me is extremely dirty to try to slip that in without them knowing about it. And you cannot tell me that the reason she did that wasn't because she was trying to keep the judge from hearing their side of things. Because I truly believe that she did not want them in front of the judge telling their side of things because she knows that she has done and said horrible things about them and that could be brought before the judge in their defense. And it's not going to look so great for her suddenly. And honestly, this is the last thing in the world that I thought she would do. It's, and I don't understand it. I don't, because I keep hearing people say that putting this onto Clue and Cletus is going to stop everyone from reviewing her because they could also get a no contact order. Or if they're reviewing her, then that's going to be third party contact. So here's the thing. We have been through this with another YouTuber, and that is not going to be third party contact. Third party contact has to be a communication that is being passed along from the person that has the order against them to the person with the order. So it would have to be, for example, it would have to be Cletus telling Jay to go live and say a direct comment to BJ from them. That is third party. You are not naming the entire community third party by giving creators a no contact order. That's just not how it works. Also, taking it to YouTube is not going to do much either. I know people that have these type of orders in place and YouTube knows about them and there is nothing done about it. So I think that there's been a lot of misinformation about how things would go if she gets a no contact order. And I do believe that there's probably going to be more. I think that that's definitely why she wanted the information on truth. I think that she's likely going to do one to Granny, and I don't know who else, but I feel like there's going to be more. Now there may not be. If this goes to court and it's not put into place, then I think she'll stop. But if it is granted, she's going to continue doing this to other creators, which is absolutely ridiculous. This People are destroying the opportunity of free speech in social media. BJ is over here screaming, we have a constitution, for a reason, we're allowed to do this. But at the same time, she is trying to silence people that are pointing out things that she is doing wrong. So if you keep going to the legal system to try to silence people, you really, really don't want the government overstepping bounds and impeding on your free speech because it hurts your feelings. You are going to keep pushing for these things, and eventually there's going to be a reaction from government upon social media, upon online speech that starts to cut down on what you're allowed to say, because there's going to be so many people that are doing this stupid shit of taking people to court over words said that hurt their feelings. It's going to lead to changes eventually. I do believe that the justice system is behind as far as the internet goes, and there is a catching up period that is going to happen. But the more that people do this type of shit and are pushing for them to regulate our speech, it's going to happen at some point. And I'm not someone who's always like, oh, the government's going to take everything away from us. I'm not like that. But in the case of free speech and the way that people are demanding that it be so tightly regulated on social media is going to eventually backfire, I have a feeling. So I want to go over just a few things that I kind of learned about this no contact order when I was researching it, because the state that I live in doesn't have these. So it was interesting to me. And again, I'm going to say one of the biggest things is it's absolutely free of charge. And the consequences of having a no contact order placed against you are significant. Now, according to what I found and read, it will not limit gun rights. That I know with like domestic orders, you cannot own guns with those, but according to what I have found, this does not affect your gun rights, but it will affect workplaces. It will affect where you can go. It will affect things like that. It's a big deal. It's real life as you can get. And it's over something stupid. And then the definition is stalking on more than one occasion, following or otherwise harassing another person without legal purpose with the intent to do any of the following: place the person in reasonable fear, either for the person's safety or the safety of the person's immediate family, and cause the person to suffer substantial emotional distress by placing that person in fear of death, bodily injury, or continual harassment, and that in fact causes the person substantial emotional distress. So she is trying to claim that because of Clue and Cletus, she is in fear for her life. Now let's think about this, okay? Have Clue and Cletus said things that I wouldn't say to BJ? Yes. But were they things that were threats of bodily harm or death? No, not at all. I do not for 1 minute believe that either of them would leave their state and travel to her state to harm her. I do not for 1 second believe that. On the other hand, I do believe that Craig is capable of harming someone and has made threats and has shown a weapon. I believe that, yes. We're talking about two people that didn't hesitate to get up and go search for a missing child. Didn't hesitate. I think Cletus even searched on Christmas Eve. And I don't want to hear Clue sat in the car the whole time. Well, it's more than BJ ever did. That's the kind of people that we're talking about here. Do they get a little more graphic than I would when speaking? Yeah, but it's not threatening. Do they speak a little more harsh than I would? Yeah, but it's not threatening. You know, that's a big distinguishing thing, is trying to decide if it's just hurting your feelings or if it is something that is threatening. One of VJ's big words is incitement. She wants to repeat over and over again that people are inciting CPS, people are inciting calling the cops, people are inciting these things. So I kind of looked up incitement because I was curious about how it worked legally, because I have a feeling that is going to be something that she brings up, is incitement of things. And so it was pretty interesting to find out what was legally considered incitement. So legally, incitement is defined as speech that is intended to and likely to produce imminent lawless action. This is a high legal bar requiring proof that the speaker's words are likely to provoke immediate violence or illegal acts, not just general advocacy or offensive rhetoric. This standard, established by the Supreme Court in Brandenburg versus Ohio 2003 case, distinguishes incitement from protected, though unpopular, speech. So what I took from that is people can come on here and say things that we don't like. They can come on here and talk about things that offend us. But as long as they are not saying things to cause people to immediately go out and commit a crime, there is no incitement there. You can't use, that's not going to hold up in court. Because I have never heard any of these creators say something that caused an immediate illegal act to follow. I just haven't. Because BJ keeps spouting that CPS was malicious, malicious, malicious. Well, I'm telling you, I could go before a judge and show the video of Craig being highly intoxicated with a weapon, and the judge would understand why someone would be genuinely concerned enough to call the law or to call CPS. I could show a judge a video of BJ on a live stream falling out, nodding out, asleep, and a child in the background waking her up, and they would understand why someone was concerned enough to notify CPS, because it's very hard to prove that someone isn't genuinely concerned when they call. I don't care if BJ thinks that nothing is wrong at her house and it's unjustified and it's malicious. People can be genuinely concerned about what is happening and what they are seeing. So you can't just claim that everything is being maliciously done and is against the law because you don't like what is happening. The key legal components of incitement are intent. The speaker must have the intent to incite unlawful behavior. It cannot be a result of mere carelessness or emotionally charged rhetoric. Imminent. The unlawful action must be imminent, meaning it is likely to happen very soon. Vague references to future acts are not enough. Likelihood. The words must be likely to persuade or provoke a crowd to violence and unlawful conduct. So I don't know of anything that Clue and Cletus have said that could count as incitement under the legal terms of it. And I just think it's unreal, right? I keep thinking about this and I'm like, I really cannot believe that she is going this route. I really can't. And I don't know if BJ understands how a court runs and that she is going to have proof of things. She can't go in there and say, well, they told me that Clue said this, or this troll was sent here by Clue, or I heard that Cletus said this. Like, you can't do that in a courtroom. The judge wants something that she can hold in her hands and look at. Factual evidence is what you're going to need. And I don't know where she's going to get that. I understand she has all of the streams recorded. Okay, that's fine. But all of the things that we have heard her accuse them of has been things like sending trolls in, inciting hate, inciting CPS, those kind of things you're not going to be able to prove to a judge. So I'm just curious if BJ even understands how a courtroom works and what is going to be expected of her. And I'm going to mention again that there is no court cost or attorney fees assessed with filing a no contact order. So this is not anything that her $8,000 is helping with at all. So I was also looking at reasons for denial of the no contact order in North Carolina. And one was insufficient evidence that the petitioner does not present enough credible evidence or facts to support their claim of stalking. And unproven threats. Petitioner must demonstrate that respondents' actions constitute a threat that could cause fear for their safety or serious emotional distress to a reasonable person. And that part, I honestly think that it differs in every state for what they will consider substantial emotional distress or serious emotional distress, whether they require you to have been to a medical professional about it, or whether they need to see that it has affected you in your daily life, which if you look at BJ's streaming, she has never missed a day of streaming. So even though she has hidden them, YouTube has access to them. So I would say that would be something that goes against her severe emotional distress because she has not stopped streaming. It has not scared her or bothered her enough for her to need a day off or for her to stop coming to this platform and continuing what she does. Incitement requires a direct link between the speech and an immediate illegal action, rather than general or vague calls to violence at some point in the future. So even that is saying that if someone mentions that something may happen sometime in the future, that is not even enough to hold to incitement. It has to be something that is an immediate call to action, that is an immediate connection to someone performing an illegal act. So vague references at some point in the future is not even enough to hold an incitement. Offensive words versus incitement. Profanity or offensive messaging is not enough on its own. The speech must appeal to actions that lead to imminent violence to be considered incitement, and merely making suggestions is not enough. Simply expressing an opinion or belief about violence is not incitement. It requires a direct and immediate call to action that is likely to be carried out. So this is what bothers me about BJ throwing incitement around. How many times have we heard, you know what you're doing? You're inciting hate. You're inciting people to not like me. You're inciting people to come into my chat. Well, that doesn't hold up in court as incitement because it's not leading to an unlawful action. It is not a call to action. It is none of those things. And you can't even, I don't know if BJ understands what is going to happen in court, but there has to be proof of things. You can't just go in there and with assumptions, rumors, that kind of crap. You can't go in there and say, well, Cletus said this and it incited people to come into my chat. Well, no, It doesn't work like that. Incitement is not what she is portraying it to be. She acts like anything that basically lets people know the truth, and the people that will step up and start disbelieving BJ, that has been incited upon them, and that they're whoever said that is now inciting hate. And that's just not how it works in the legal system. And then I was looking at cyber stalking, because I know that's the other thing that she is trying to prove, that people are stalking her. And to be honest, it looks like a fine line between cyber stalking and not cyber stalking. Um, so some of the things that it was saying, and it said it can include emails, text, or social media posts, sending messages with intent to threaten, terrify, harass, or embarrass someone, repeatedly communicate with someone in a way that causes substantial emotional distress, using electronic devices to track someone's movement without their knowledge or consent. I don't think that that qualifies to any of the creators that she has talked about. I don't think any of them are sending messages to her, reaching out to her. Um, there's no like direct communication. There's no tagging in any of that. And there's definitely no tracking devices. But it was interesting because some of the things that it's had to do was, of course, document everything. And it's a block and report. And they said, do this because it sends a clear message to the person that you want no contact with them, that you don't want them talking to you in any way. You block them, and that sends the message to them. Well, has VJ ever done that? Has she ever blocked any of them and ignored, not responded to send a message that she is serious about being left alone? I don't think so. Not that I know of. So I thought that was interesting because that's definitely not a clear message she has sent. I don't care how many times she puts up on her channel, this is fair use, or you cannot use anything from this channel, it's illegal. Okay, but you're still out there talking about these other creators. They have a right to defend themselves. You're sending the message that you want a back and forth whenever you are going at people. You just are. And when they look at cyberstalking, the court considers intent and impact. Was the communication meant to threaten, intimidate, or harass? Did the victim feel significant emotional distress, or were their daily activities disrupted? So here again, you're getting mixed messages from her, because she's like, on one hand, I have to stand with my back to the gas pump. And then the other hand, a few days later, she's saying she's living her best life and doing things with her kids and going out and doing things. And so which is it? Has she still streamed every day? Yes, multiple times a day. Does she fall asleep on stream like she's not overly stressed? Yes, all the time. What kind of severe emotional distress are we talking? Because if it were me and I was truly being cyber stalked, I would not be coming to the place where I'm being stalked. I would at least take a break. If I was so emotionally disturbed by this, and my family is so emotionally disturbed by this, take a break. Step away, do something. She has not shown any of that. So I'm not sure what she's going to show in the courts to say that she has severe emotional distress, but she sure doesn't show it on here. When you're streaming multiple times a day for hours and hours on end, that doesn't say, I'm under duress, I'm scared. It just doesn't do it. I'm sorry. And so she states that she filed the no contact order. Apparently, she's shocked that people are upset with her over filing for that order. It's like she lives in a different reality. It's kind of scary sometimes. But she says she did it because she kept asking to be left alone and nobody would do it. She said that it's about protecting herself and her kids and their peace. And she's not trying to shut people up. She hears people saying that she's trying to just shut people up, and that's not true. That's not what she wants. She just wants her peace. And she says she has to protect her family. And you can't attack someone for over a year and expect them not to respond. She said, they've attacked my kids, my spouse, my deceased mother, threatened to fly drones over my house, weaponized a child abuser, and they stalk me every day. Now, listen, BJ is not an innocent party. I love how she will step up and say, because she stepped up and said, yeah, I went back at them, but if they were going at you that way, you would go back at them. Because VJ cannot take accountability. She cannot say, yeah, I was having a back and forth and just end it there. It has to be a reason why she did it that makes it not her fault, which is inherently untrue, because most of these feuds she started herself and kept going herself. And most of them she started over the defense of Seth. And then once they started, it became this back and forth. I actually was just listening to the beginning of her and Clue's back and forth. And the way it happened was Nonsense had started covering BJ because of her disgusting coverage of Chris and Katie. So Nonsense was covering that and not covering just BJ. It was a lot of creators on the green team. Well, there was a day that BJ went over to Nonsense channel and went up on her panel. And while she was up there, she brought Clue up. She brought Clue into the mix and said, well, you're friends with Clue. And she said the F slur. So how do you defend that? Well, let me remind you that BJ's partner, not husband, I'm sorry, has said the F slur 3 times that we've heard on her stream. And she lives with this man. She knows he talks that way. So anyway, but she went up there and she brought Clue up to use as an example of what people shouldn't be supporting. So the next stream that BJ has, Clue comes into the chat and says, quit streaming my content, because that was something else that BJ was doing. She was using Clue's streams a lot, and we know that she doesn't do fair use. So Clue came into her chat and was like, hey, quit using my streams and we won't have a problem. And BJ actually dropped her a link. Clue went up and asked why she's talking about her. And so BJ was like, well, I was using you as an example for you using the F slur and people supporting you and all of this. And she was like, I don't have any beef with you, and tried to distance herself from being the one that was going around 2 different channels trying to get people to turn against Clue because of the F slur she had used. And I witnessed that. I know what happened. So that was the beginning of that back and forth, was BJ using her streams without asking and without using fair use, and using her as an example of a bad creator that people shouldn't follow. And she started that for sure. Clue gave her 2 or 3 chances to shut up about it, and she didn't. And herein comes the thing that really upset me about the situation. And, I've spoken a little about things that I went through as a child. And it seems like whenever you have trauma in childhood and you're female, that it kind of leads you to make more bad decisions regarding the opposite sex. And so that happened with me. And I ended up having to obtain a stalking order against my ex. And the way that people throw around the word stalking on here really infuriates me. It does. It absolutely takes away the seriousness of that crime and makes it something trivial that is being done to people in a community where people are just speaking negatively about them. And it is absolutely downplaying the seriousness of it. I've heard BJ say, you don't know until you get the knock at the door and it's CPS. Well, yeah, I've had CPS weaponized against me by my ex. And I have also sat in my house terrified. I had to get cameras because he vandalized my house while I was home asleep. He is not rational. I had to sit in a courtroom next to a state advocate, waiting for him to walk into that courtroom with knots in my stomach, feeling like I was either going to throw up or pass out, wanting to be anywhere but there, not knowing if I was going to get granted the order, worried about what would happen if I wasn't granted the order, how he would react to me filing for it. But I did get it. And what the bailiff heard during our hearing was enough that he came over and escorted me out to my vehicle. So to act like this is equivalent to stalking is wrong. And it is harmful to people that have actually gone through it, are going through it, because it's not a joke at all. For BJ to say, it's affected me so much when I pump gas, I turn my back to the gas pump now so I can see around me. Well, you probably should do that anyway. If you're a female, you probably should be aware of your surroundings no matter what. But that pissed me off because I can't even be in my home and be comfortable, much less out doing things and not worried to death that I'm going to see him, not seeing vehicles the same color as his and feeling my heart skip a beat thinking it might be him. You don't understand that, and it was so insulting to hear it compared to that. I can't even put into words. Like, how dare you? You do not know what traumatized is. You have no idea what it is like to be stalked by someone that is in your town, that could show up at any time, that you could run into at any time, that has already broken their stalking order and served 30 days in jail. When you're sitting at home and you hear a noise and you wonder if today's the day, your stomach jumps into your throat and you can't breathe. You saying that you're so scared now that you have to stand with your back to the gas pump is fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. What an insult to people who actually go through stalking. Quit comparing your situation to stalking because it isn't. It just isn't. And it's such an insult to try to put that out there. You know, whenever you are scared of someone, when someone is stalking you, you do everything possible to not utter their name. You don't want any attention drawn to you that has to do with them. I don't utter his name, and I wouldn't. I don't usually even talk about this because I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything getting back to him. I don't want anything. And that's what happens when you're truly scared of somebody. You do not talk about them. You definitely don't go on a public platform and poke at them and trash them. Definitely do not do that. And you said this piece of paper is putting protections in place for your family. I hate to tell you, but that piece of paper is a piece of paper. If someone is going to do something, they're going to do it, whether you have that paper or not. Trust me. That piece of paper may feel like a security blanket for a little bit, but it's not. All you're doing is putting false accusations on people that don't deserve it because Clue and Cletus are not stalking you in any way. They don't deserve that. It's not right. And I can't believe you're even attempting it. I hope the judge laughs in your face. I'm sorry, I do. Because this is not stalking. You're not the victim. And I do have to say, I had a laugh at something that she said, because if anybody remembers my last video, I talked about how BJ dislikes people until they do something positive for her. And then suddenly she has always liked them. They've always been good people. And I literally talked about this on my last audio post. Well, so after she filed this no contact order, Nunya and Chasing went live about it. And so PJ comes on and she's like, I massive thank you to Nunya and massive thank you to Chasing. And then she says literally these words, I've always liked Chasing. I don't know if she likes me, but I've always liked her. I mean, it's like a script with her. You know, anybody that says anything positive or supports her for a second is going to get the I've always liked them. I had to chuckle to myself about that because I knew that was coming. Ridiculous. Also, I'm curious if it's 3 or 4 CPS reports because we keep hearing both. Just a few days ago, it went back to now it's 4 CPS reports. And yeah, this was another case of where she lied and lied for months. And then finally she comes out and says, yeah, this happened. Because when CPS first came, she told us they knew it was malicious. They didn't find anything. They closed it out right away. And we were all like, they don't do that. They don't just close it. But she insisted everything was fine. And then we had to find out a few weeks ago that actually she had to do things. She had to make or clean out a room so that both of the kids had their own room. She had to actually do things for them. So it was yet another time that she lies and lies and lies until she's backed in a corner and can't lie anymore because she tells people and people, it gets out, right? And then whenever she is backed into that corner, she has to admit to it. And that's the only time she'll admit to it. And I don't understand how people believe anything she says because how do you know that she's not lying? And 2 months from now, she's going to come out and say, remember that, what did I told you? I was lying. Because that's what she does. She's dishonest all the time, all the time. And I don't care about what happened with CPS. It's not our business, but she brought it here. And she brought it here that she lied. Just like with her stream a few days ago, midday, she starts falling asleep or nodding during the stream, middle of the day. And one of her subs who really, really likes her said something because it was obvious. And of course, that sub gets yelled at and everyone in her chat starts defending her. She's looking down. She's got her eyes closed for a second. She's not falling asleep. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, She is. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her head bobbing. Look at her mouth half open. Look at her shake herself to get out of it. She is having lapses of consciousness. Yes. And I'm so tired of people denying what we're seeing in front of our eyes. And then later on that night, she admits, yeah, I fell asleep. But she says one time during that stream, while I was watching nonsense, I drifted off for a second. No, it was multiple times. And it was definitely nods where there was lapse of consciousness. It just was. And, people give her this out of saying that she's just looking down or blinking or whatever. And look, it's the middle of the day. Like, it's concerning. Whenever she does it at night and she's like, am I not supposed to be tired at 3 a.m. or whatever? Well, this is middle day. And I don't know what it is. I'm not saying it's substances. I'm saying something is not normal. To have lapses in consciousness while you are speaking is not normal. It could be substance. It could be a medical issue. It could be that she is so addicted to the drama on here. She's afraid to sleep because she's afraid she'll miss something. And she is suffering severe sleep deprivation. It could be any of those. Whatever it is, it's happening during the day. And she was getting ready to drive. It's dangerous for other people on the road as well as her. And it needs to be looked into if this is not substance related. And people giving her the out of going along with whatever bullshit story she's telling is not helping her. It's not. And then, so then she also goes on to the thing about, oh, I know people are going to say I'm keeping my hands clean. I want proof of where I do that. Okay. Proof of you keeping your hands clean is always having an attack dog to do your work for you. Always having either someone that will come up on your panel and do the harsh criticism and the trashing other people, or playing a stream where another person has trashed somebody you don't like and you review that stream, pinning comments that are very controversial, knowing what they say and what will be done, having mods behind the scenes, looking up people and their court cases and their records and their pictures and putting them in the mod chat, but you didn't look it up, reviewing Queen's FOIA on your channel, but saying there's nothing wrong with it because you didn't FOIA it, reviewing a stream where Granny's docs was played, but it's okay because you didn't do it. That is keeping your hands clean. That is keeping 1 degree of separation between you and the fuck shit all the time. That is what you do. You don't want to be the one saying the words, so you'll pull up Nunya's stream and review it and let her go at people, and you're just agreeing, so it's not you, right? Or having Cam up on your panel to trash Granny and Clue. But you're not the one saying it, and we can't hold you responsible for what other people say. So it's not you. You're keeping your hands clean. That's what that means, BJ. You do it all the time. That is who you are and what you do. And like with the pinning comments thing, like this is something else she does a lot, is she will find a comment in the chat that is something disparaging about a creator she doesn't like, and she'll pin it and then be like, oh no, we can't do that. We can't be doing that. But she pinned something the other day that said like, BJ is entitled to peace and us subs are entitled to enjoy a stream without trolls ruining it. I'm not sure how a no contact order is going to do that. I think people are really disillusioned as to what a no contact order is going to do. It is not going to be this huge change in the community and suddenly nobody can talk about VJ and there's no more trolls and there's rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and everything's great. It's not going to happen that way. Even if she is granted a no contact order, it doesn't make the whole community a third party. It doesn't keep trolls from coming in. It doesn't stop people from commentating on her streams. It's not going to do all of that. People have very unrealistic expectations. And the thing that gets me the most is this. BJ, you could stop all of this. You keep saying you just want your channel back to what it was, and do it. Do it. Start focusing on your channel and doing something with it instead of drama. Get your crap together. Either sleep during the day or stream during the day. Get on a routine where you can stay awake. Do some research. Stop allowing trolls into the chat. Just ignore them. ignore. Start listening to your subs. Put some effort into your channel. Quit talking about other people. You are in control of your channel. That's the thing. This could have stopped a long time ago if you would take control of your channel and focus on that instead of the negativity. You don't need no contact orders. You need to block people and ignore them. That's it. But we all see your numbers and the fact that your drama streams get you way more views than your true crime streams. But you also have to consider that you're falling asleep during your true crime. You don't do any research, you're never on time. You don't know the cases that you're talking about. You got Craig in the background rambling about pies and a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's chaos over there, BJ. You wonder why your channel's doing bad? It is chaos. Then she says something about War Eagle. That War Eagle bothers the shit out of us. And she compliments War Eagle and says, we need more people like War Eagle who don't let threats and intimidation get to them. So that sounds to me like BJ is wanting more people to do her dirty work, more people to step up and go at the people she doesn't like. This is not a sign of somebody who is scared and wanting things to calm down at all. It's the opposite. You know, BJ's situation never changes. Never. It's been like this for years. It'll be like this for years. It doesn't matter if there was one person calling her out right now and reviewing her content. She would sound just as frazzled, just as upset as it is if 15 people are doing it. And that's who she is. She lives for that. And it's always going to be the worst situation with her. She's always going to have it worse. You know, because there are people that go too far, doesn't mean that everyone goes too far. It doesn't mean that everyone agrees with it. And that's the same for people over there with her. I'm sure there are people that don't agree with things that she does or says, or they disagree with some of the creators that she follows and what they're saying and doing. And you can't hold a collective group responsible for the actions of one. You just can't. And it's getting really, really old. There are people that have really had their lives affected in a major way since Sebastian's case started. It has greatly affected people. It's not a game. It's not just online banter. It's not a back and forth. It's affecting people's real lives. To wake up every day with that hanging over your head, to wake up every day knowing you got to spend more money on an attorney and knowing that you didn't do anything different than anyone else. I would actually say BJ has done worse than what Granny has done. But yet, BJ is the victim somehow. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating to see people want to defend her because she's the underdog, not caring the impact that she has had on other people's lives. Because is it funny to see her worked up sometimes? Yeah, it is. But is it funny what she is doing to other people in their real lives? Not at all. Not at all. And I'm tired of the way that she minimizes everything. She doesn't live in reality. She just doesn't. Her reality is inside her little house, on her phone, with her mods and with the internet. That's her life. She is not out going to school functions. She's not out taking her kids to sports. She's not out going to dinner with friends. She's not out at a real job with coworkers and dealing with the public. She is inside that house, scared to open the door to two young boys and over there fear-mongering her children to be afraid of everything in this world. It's sad. And I'm just curious about something because BJ keeps saying that Sinner is this amazing guy and that she has never seen Sinner do anything egregious or out of line or anything to make her side-eye him. So it's interesting to me that part of BJ's whole C&D with Granny and Clue was the FOIA of the DV report, right? Yet, Sinner FOIA'd Queen Bee's home and got the police report on an incident that happened inside Queen Bee's house where there was a child involved and then Queen Bee. And the way Sinner and others portrayed this was that Queen Bee did something to harm her child. Now, I don't believe that's true. that's neither here nor there. They believe it. So would that not be considered a DV incident if it is inside the home and it is domestic violence, whether it's a partner or a family member? So how is it okay for them to take that report and read it and reference it and make accusations from it? But whenever it is something about BJ, it's horrific and shouldn't be done and all of this other stuff. And Sinner is not a bad guy in BJ's eyes, even though he pulled that FOIA and completely took advantage of that to attack Queen. But that's okay. He's a stand-up guy. But whoever FOIA'd anything relating to BJ is the devil himself. Explain that to me, because I don't get it. And she also said something about the loudest voices in the room are usually the guilty ones. Actually, I find that the people that talk the most, that give the most details about stupid shit, that don't make sense, that lie repeatedly, are the guilty ones. Just from my experience, And then the big dramatic. Many of you would find joy if I just dropped dead right now. Give me a fucking break. God, the dramatics, it's over the top. Nobody wants to see BJ dead. For goodness sakes. No, that is not true. I don't know of anybody that thinks that way or feels that way at all. And it's just something that she can say to create the most dramatic response possible. And I'm really over it. Like, she's ridiculous. She's ridiculous. Everything that is happening to her is made up in her head. There is no danger to her. She is making up the danger. I can't imagine. Those children must be horrified because all they hear is BJ's side of the conversations online about people are trying to get them taken away, that people are coming to the house and that they're armed, and that people are accusing her of not feeding her kids, and people want her to die. This is what they're hearing constantly. Would that not be terrifying to you? Like, you're growing up to be fearful of everything. And it's really sad that that's happening. And people get pissed off because I'm mentioning kids. But yeah, I am. Because I think it's terrible that they are going to fear everything when they're adults because that's how they're raised. To fear law enforcement, to fear any kind of agency. It's a sad outlook on life. And look, I don't bring up my personal business to get sympathy or anything, attention. I don't want that. I don't even like talking about it. Brought it up because I want people to understand that the way BJ is portraying stalking is not stalking. It's ridiculous and it's insulting to people who have been through it, who are going through it. And that's the only reason I brought it up. I don't want the focus on that. I don't want to focus on me. I just want people to see through her and her BS because she is over there acting like things in her world are so bad. She has to put her back to the gas pump. I mean, it's minimizing things that happen in true crime cases. I mean, how many cases have we seen where stalking happened? And I'm sorry, but that's not what's going on with BJ. BJ is getting hate from YouTube. BJ is getting hate for her behavior. BJ is getting hate for her coverage of crime and the disrespect to the victims and to her viewers. That's all that is happening there. And she has spun this into some wild fantasy world where she is under attack. People want her dead. People are sneaking around her house. It's just not happening. I'm so sick of it. And these no contact orders, it's shocking to me that she did it. I hope to God that a judge puts her in her place and she understands that what she is talking about is in her head. And I hope that the Pennsylvania courts hurry and do something because I think until she faces consequences from something, she's not going to stop. She's going to continue this. And she alone is running her channel into the ground. Her alone. Okay. I have so many different clips of the reason she hid all of her streams. She was starting over. She had people mass reporting. She didn't know what people were going to do. All of these different things. And the reason is what she's doing right now. She's talking about how horrible it is. And she's not doing anything back. She actually said the other day, there's proof that I am not doing anything to these people. There's proof I'm not talking about these people. Yeah, to people that don't know that you've hidden 600 streams, yeah, there's proof. Because if you look at your channel right now, it looks like you're covering true crime and just regular topics and defending yourself. But when you look at all the hidden streams, you see the nastiness. You see why people are angry. And it's dirty that she hides them and tries to portray herself as innocent, unfairly attacked. And hey, everybody, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Take care of yourself. Things get so negative on here and stressful in this space where we come to get away, and it can really get to you. You know, keep yourself in check, be self aware. If you find yourself acting out of character, if you find yourself waking up angry every day, if you find yourself getting caught up in the feelings and the emotions and the happenings on here more than your real life, take a step back, take a break, include some videos that you enjoy that are funny, that are entertaining, that are something outside of this community. Spend some alone time. Go outdoors, do something. Just take care of yourself. You know, I see lots of people say that they are disappointed in themselves that they got caught up in this and acted in ways that they normally wouldn't act, or saying things that they wouldn't normally say, and they feel ashamed. And I'm just, please don't shame yourself. Just recognize it and fix it. Recognize that you're getting too caught up and take a step back, evaluate what's happening, and do what you need to protect yourself. Because what is happening on here is extremely stressful. It's extremely real life for some people. It's extremely infuriating for people that have been through things that she is making a mockery of. It's frustrating to come to the place where we used to escape to and have fun and discuss things that we're interested in. Make sure that you have a place that you can still do that, that you can still go to get away from your life, to unwind, to take a break, where it's not anger and stress, but something that relaxes you, whatever it may be. It's super important, guys. But don't shame yourself if you find yourself getting caught up. If you've said something to someone that you regret, apologize, do what you need to do to make yourself feel better, but don't be ashamed, because a lot of us do it. A lot of us get caught up in it, and it's so easy to. So I worry about everyone, and I want everyone to put yourself first, make sure you're okay. And I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I've said a whole lot of nothingness. I think probably nothing useful, but I got it out and I feel a little bit better. So I will talk to y'all soon. And remember, you are important. Put yourself first. Take care of you. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon.